Today's art activity is on perspective. When you look out the window, the objects closest to you appear large. As you look further down your street, objects appear a little smaller, and then all the way at the end of the road, the objects appear very small. You can see their length, their height, their depth. They're three-dimensional objects. So how can I create that same depth on a piece of paper? First, I'm going to draw my horizon line. Taking my ruler, in the top third of my paper, I'm going to draw a line. Here I've separated the land and the sky, or the water and the sky. On that horizon line, pick a point. It can be right in the center, to the left, to the right. Just for interest's sake, I like to draw it a little off from center. Now, from the left corner of my page to that vanishing point, I'm going to draw a line. Now, I'm drawing my lines rather dark so that you can see them, but you're going to want to draw them rather lightly so that you can erase them when you go back to color, or they don't appear when you color. Now to that right corner, from that point to the right corner. So here, if you imagine that you've just stepped onto this page, a path would appear very wide. As I look off into the distance, it would appear a little smaller, and then to that furthest point that I could see, it would appear as if that road almost disappears. This part of my picture here is called the foreground. It is in the front. Here is the middle ground, and then back here is going to be my background. Foreground, middle ground, background. Objects in the foreground are going to be the largest. Now I'm excited that spring is here and I am loving the flowers right now. So I'm going to continue with that theme and draw a field of poppies. Those poppies are going to appear rather large if I'm just stepping onto that path to see them. You could draw tulips or sunflowers, daisies. You could do a combination of flowers, whatever you want. And remember, as you draw, if you want something to appear behind something else, don't draw through that. Like here, this stem's going to come back behind these. The leaf is going to come up here. Let's draw some poppies on this side. Now, if I cross over that line that I drew there, that is fine because I'm going to see that flower before I see the road. I'm going to erase that line. And now the poppy is in the foreground. And its stem and leaves can come into the road. That's fine. Have one come off the page. All right, so those flowers in the foreground are going to be the largest. Then I'm going to draw some poppies that are a little bit smaller. They're in the middle ground of my field. Just like I did before. And a few over here. Draw those centers. Now, just like if you were looking outside, the objects that are further off in the distance, you're not going to notice as much detail in them, but you are going to see the colors. So I'm going to make these even smaller. And then the flowers off in the farthest distance are going to just be little dots of color. I'm going to know that they're poppies in the field, but I can't see them or the detail. All right, up in my sky, I am going to include a couple clouds. And I think I'm going to have some rolling meadow, so not too steep of a hill. Come down. Maybe one is behind it and one over here. All right, now can you see the path heading through the field toward the hills? I'm going to erase that vanishing point. My eye is going to see it without that dot being there. All right, now time to add some color. I'm going to use crayon today. I'm going to outline my poppies. And these little ones, just a little detail. And then I'm gonna make just some little circles, little dashes and dots of color. There's lots of poppies growing in the field. Just can't see them when they're that far away. All right, now to add some green. And then, just like I did with the little red dots, I'm gonna just make little flecks of green off in the distance. And you know there's leaves and stems. Oops. All right, for my hills, they're green with spring as well. And my horizon line doesn't have to be totally straight. Make that curved. Now you could make this a road. You could have the dotted line going through it. You could make it railroad tracks with horizontal lines. I'm going to have it be a little dirt path. And this too, I'm not going to make completely straight, but I am going to follow that line from my vanishing point to the corner so I can create that depth. And along this little path here, I'm gonna create some little ripples from the dirt. These ripples will get shorter, smaller as I go off in the distance. And then by the time I get way down the road, very little. And up close, you might even see some rocks. Further away, you're not going to see those details. All right, I'm going to color the sky in blue, but first I'm going to outline my cloud. All right, let's color in those poppies. Now I'm going to color quickly just so that you can see what it's going to look like, but take your time with it. This would be fun to paint if you had the materials, but if I added watercolor to this paper, it would just shrivel up. All right, just use some line from our last lesson for my hills. All right, and then I'm gonna color in my grass. Now going in a more diagonal direction, it kind of looks like little blades of grass. Then I'm going to color my leaves in a little darker so that you see them. Put those centers in the poppies. Poppies in my foreground, I'm going to give a little extra detail too. These aren't going to get that. And my poppies way off in the distance aren't going to even get that detail. Then my path get colored in, and my sky. All right, there's my poppy field, my little path heading toward the hills. As always, we're going to sign our work. Hope you enjoyed.